Welcome to Real, Raw, and Truthful. I am Tawnya Love. I will I'm not really apologize, but just let you know that we've had a lot of forest fires around us, and so the air quality has been a little weird, and so my throat's a little today. So if I clear my throat or I have to get drinks of water more, that's why. And let's just keep holding those visions for the rain. It is in the forecast to get it. We're supposed to get some rain coming in soon. So I'm really holding that vision that it goes and falls wherever there's forest fires and helps restore the balance in nature. So thank you to all those who have been holding that vision. Welcome back. I hope you are all doing well. I have been kind of processing and marinating on the next podcast and like what we'd be discussing. And I've been getting this repetitive awareness in speaking on the power of rest and taking time to just be with self, like not feel any pressure to be out in the world, to running around, to make friends, to be in socialized situations, but to actually take time to pull inward and to be with self, to have inner reflection and to take time to rest and restore yourself. And I feel that Spirit is wanting this message to be shared with the collective that are drawn here, because many of you are really in need of that rest. And many of you may be in need of inner self-reflection so that you are able to restore yourselves and feel healthy and more balanced within. And so a huge part of, alignment is everything's connected. So our body, our mind, our spirit is going to affect all the elements of who we are. And so if we're not getting enough sleep, or if we're just way too busy and running around in the world and overworking, or if we're overthinking and stressing and obsessing, all of that starts to wear our vessels out. And so there's just a message coming through to get more rest and to hydrate and ground your energy. In my area, because we've had fires in the area, every opportunity, if I get it, to go outside and ground myself with nature, I do it. I'll go hiking or just sit with my bare feet in the grass. And when it's not ideal, I have the common sense and the awareness to stay inside with my air purifier and to rest and walk on my treadmill or whatever I've got to do to adjust. And to also have days where, if your body's healing something, or you're just feeling more tired or run down, to honor that and to actually listen to what your body is calling for and to give it the rest it needs. And to know that that doesn't mean it's going to be forever, and you don't need to be in fear. You just need to be present right here, right now, with what your body is needing in this moment. And so that message is for someone out there, maybe many of you. But I felt like it was very important to touch upon that, because so much of what has helped me get through the darker times in life has been the wisdom that I carry to understand the power of isolation and solitude and rest, because it helps me to regain my strength. And especially if any of you have been in toxic situations, relationships, dynamics of any kind, when we take that time to be with self, we can really recharge ourselves. And a lot of people that are operating from the shadow frequency, they will want to get busier when things go wrong, like running and trying to escape themselves, or they'll want to party and take substances and maybe just go and get hooked up with random people. There's those that are overworkers, they are workaholics, and so they'll keep going through the motions even though their body's exhausted. And that's insanity. It is not wisdom. It does not serve us. It doesn't help us to restore and to find our balance. And so no matter what you're personally going through, Source God just wants you to know how worthy you are of rest and rejuvenation. And it's important for us to take that time. It's also important for us to have excellent boundaries and discernment. And I've very much been mastering the understanding of that in this past, honestly, the past couple of years, but in the past 6 months in particular, it's been very, very intense. But I know that all of it is happening for me. All of it is happening to strengthen me and to protect me and to help me. So when we really are seeing through the correct lens and we're looking at life from an aligned perspective, where we understand everything is happening for us, for our growth, for our ascension, for our evolution, for our betterment, then we can really receive what's happening in a more graceful way and even have gratitude for it. And I know like some of you might feel like you're going through challenges right now, or there's just people that have hurt you, betrayed you. But all of it, I promise you, is happening for you, because sometimes we go through hard times and sometimes people show us things that are, not what we were hoping to happen or hoping that we would be seeing. But it's a gift, because when we can see that someone is not good for us and we don't turn on ourselves and think that something's wrong with us because someone's choosing to not be good to us. Do you see what I'm saying? We take our power back. So we can really see like someone wasn't good to us. That's facts. But I don't have to turn on myself because of it. I can love myself, and I can recognize that that person was pushing me away because they have brokenness. They have something going on in themselves where they cannot receive love correctly. They cannot show honor. They cannot tell the truth. They cannot, be generous and kind and supportive. And so that doesn't mean I don't deserve it. It means they just aren't capable of doing it. And so when we can see it from that lens, it really helps us to get flowing on our own authentic path, instead of trying to beat our heads against a door that is not meant to open for us. And so I'm feeling guided to say that message for someone in particular. That being said, I'm going to go to, I drew a card today, and it's from a deck that I have. I really love Alana Fairchild's deck. She has many, but this one's called the White Light Oracle. And I drew number 31, and this card is titled Shaktipat of Seahorse. Shaktipat of Seahorse. And it says, as you embrace your inner essence, you will be at peace with who you truly are, including your vulnerability, and no longer see the need to conform to social ideals which have no true resonance for your own sacred heart. You are encouraged to trust your intuitive recognition of which environments and relationships harmonize well with you, supporting your spiritual growth and well-being on all levels. You have the innate capacity to manifest that which you truly need and desire. Relax, and you shall attract all that you need. So that message in its essence is very connected to when we are in alignment with our divine feminine energy, we can become very magnetic and just attract naturally to us what is best for us. And when we can observe the outer world showing us some kind of chaotic energy, or a person who is self-sabotaging, or a person who is projecting, attacking, lashing out, rejecting us, we do not need to take that as an initiation or as an invitation to reject ourselves. We can simply see it for what it is, that human is at war with themselves, and that we are not responsible for calming the inner storm or the war within them. We can only be responsible for calming the inner storm and inner wars within ourselves. So there can be times where that could be a mirroring situation, where we see that the other is mirroring something within ourselves. Or it could simply be that that person is showing us who they really are choosing to be, and that they are trying to push us away. They're trying to sabotage the connection. And we don't have to take that personally. And I really encourage you not to really see that that person doing what they're doing is their own battle. It has nothing to do with you. And that you have every right to call all your power back. You have every right to shut that door. And you have every divine right to walk away and never go towards that kind of chaos again. And especially if it's something that's been a repeat. I took I made a conscious choice not to talk about Hayden Panettiere for very important reasons, because I feel like I saw all these people just trying to get more views on their fucking channels and get more interactions on their social media platforms just by talking about someone who had passed away. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't really feel like it felt honoring at all to her spirit. But I feel that a lot of what I can understand as the shamanic healer that I am, and I can recognize the patterns, and I've spoken many times on my podcast about narcissism and the codependency and the attachments of it, and how detrimental it can be on so many levels to an empath. And when I really observe things about her life and the patterns and how she spoke out publicly just months ago and talked about how abusers will find a way to kind of weave themselves into your life and they'll find ways to come back. And then she spoke about how she had more of a fear of being alone than, choosing what was best for her. She was really saying out loud her vulnerabilities and saying out loud that she needed help. I did not see any of those things at the time when they were out, but I saw them, once she passed and all these different reels are being shared. But what's unfortunate is I don't know if they've proven what happened, but she was last seen with her toxic ex, who had publicly admitted to abusing her. And I will say, not with much reverence or apology. It felt more an arrogance and a cockiness, which is incredibly dangerous. And it's unfortunate that she was with him again. And just the life that the people that she got caught up with, way back at the beginning of her career, well, not the beginning, but like when she really started to become known. And she talks about basically being led to a room and a man abusing her sexually and being betrayed by someone she really had grown to trust. And when I hear these stories, my heart goes out to her soul, and may it be at peace and be at rest, because I feel that soul had been brought up in an industry where she was just manipulated and controlled from very young. And when people turned on her, she didn't even know what to do about it. And she obviously had a lot of brokenness in her young childhood, because that is reflected as she became an adult, and the kind of people she was attracted to were narcissistic abusers. And I just feel like it makes what I'm on here doing that much more important. Every one of our souls is important, but to know that is a soul that, in her vulnerability, she didn't know that she was so much more powerful and that she could make it on her own, that she did not need to go back to those people that had already shown her that they were not safe. And I just send so much love to her and to any victims of abuse, anyone who has gone through abuse that, I know myself personally, the journey of that, to find your strength and to call your power back after being through awful things and having people do awful things to you or try to manipulate you and control you with their blackmail and their abusive strategies. It's sickening. But we all have the power to heal ourselves if we are an abuser, or to walk away and choose ourselves if we are done being abused. And I feel like it's so important that we understand that we don't deserve it, and we never deserved it. And I know there was times where she was speaking of things like she wasn't perfect either. And I feel like she had so much compassion, but that compassion was used against her. And that's something that happens so fucking often with narcissistic or abusive energies of any kind, whatever label you want to give them, is they are really, well, I don't want to say they're skilled in like flaunt them or, get them to feel like they can flaunt their feathers because they think they're skilled at manipulation, but they are manipulators. And to a lot of empaths, because our hearts and our minds don't think that way, we really want to see the good in people. And that is exactly what they use against us. And so you come to a place where, like Carl Jung speaks about, the dark empath, and how the empath or the Sigma, you can go and research all this, like the Sigma female, the dark empath, how when the empath awakens and really sees everything for what it is, and they start to choose themselves, and they start to give the empathy to themselves that they were always giving to everyone else because they wanted to be loved, the game changes, because that soul is not going to be easily manipulated. They are not someone who's seeking external validation or approval, because they've given it to themselves. And my hope is that any souls that I can inspire and influence and encourage to awaken and to take back their power and to become empowered empaths, that is who I'm here speaking for, and in honor and in memory of those who fought their fight and walked their path, their own unique path, and were still taken down by the darkness. I know that they will not be there forever, and that Source God will welcome them. And their time here had a purpose, and the messages they shared had a purpose, and the pain they went through served a purpose in helping others understand. And I feel like what's so important is that we understand that we are worthy of peace. We are worthy of it. And Source God guiding some of you to go into solitude, and even though you can't see where you're going and you don't know how it's going to work out, if you know that someone near you is abusive, get away from them. If you know someone near you is a fucking liar and a manipulator, and they're toxic and they don't care about you and they will throw your ass under the bus to save themselves, stay away from them. Do not open those doors again. And trust that Source God is preparing you for a frequency shift, and preparing you in your time of solitude and isolation, preparing you for souls who will honor you and who will be better for you. And sometimes that means you walk alone. Like I have had to go through that, where I am alone in the physical world and I don't have a lot of people around me or friends or a lover, but in spirit, I know I walk with a mighty army. And so you in that time of stillness and that time of inner reflection and inner healing, you can really remember the warrior that you are and the army of light that you really do have walking with you. Your ancestors, your angels, your galactic guides and soul family, the starseed tribe. There are so many. And sometimes in the physical world, it can seem like we're very alone and isolated. But if you're not afraid of it, you build strength there. I have built so much strength in my solitude. I have become so tuned in and tapped in with Source in that quiet, in that stillness. And my gifts, I harness that, my gifts and my powers have been amplified, and energies have been so quickly revealed to me because I've chosen to walk on that path and into the light, and walk in my, uniqueness, walk in my authority, walk in my authentic blueprint and my sovereignty, and not need the world's approval, not need society's approval, not get caught up in the bullshit society's trying to teach you into regurgitating, and you really walk in your authenticity. And there are so many of you that have important destinies here, important missions that you came here for, and you need to walk in your confidence and walk in your power. And when you are shown that someone is not healthy for you, that someone is not of a high frequency, that someone's energy disturbs your peace, period, clock it for what it is, thank the universe for showing you, and close that door and choose yourself. So many of you are choosing toxic cycles and people because you have been trained from very young to turn on yourself and to deny your own voice, to deny your own truth, to deny your own needs. And so you have turned on yourselves from very young, and you became a performer like Hayden. Some of us are paid, with the jobs they do. They're like a performing actress or actor, but some of you are performing just like that, wearing masks, pretending to be something you're not, walking around, playing out parts in a societal system that you can't even stand. But you're doing it because you're afraid. You're terrified of being who you really are. You're terrified of owning your own true power and walking in your truth and being authentically you. And the reason souls like mine disturb souls like that is because they are terrified to sit with themselves and to face themselves. And souls like mine, we walk through, and just our frequency triggers their darkness. It triggers that which is hiding in the shadow. So it's so important that we understand these things so that we can take our power back, so that we can walk in our power. It's interesting because I had some memories popping up yesterday, and it's now making sense because I'm going to speak on it. But when I was talking to someone about how often in my life I have had people act really weird just from me being in their presence. And I was thinking back of how many people, when I first came out, when I jokingly said back in 2012, I said I was coming out of the angel closet, because I was like, dude, I have to speak the truth. I feel like it's time. Like, I have to take my power back, take my life back. I was guided to leave my abusive relationship and abusive friendship. And I was shown clearly that they were screwing around behind my back and there was no integrity. And I had so many family members turned against me by those people to cover their own asses for the toxic shit they were actually doing. It was wild. But what was crazy is, as I left to go on my own and to trust source, that I was being guided to offer my services to humanity as a shamanic healer, as an angelic light worker, and to assist with auric clearings. And all of this was like awakening within me. All of these gifts were coming online. They were awakening inside of me. And I noticed some people on the outside that didn't understand. They might have thought I was really crazy. Like, what is happening with her? She's acting different. But the thing is I wasn't crazy. I was awakening. I was awakening from a crazy system that had tried to keep me in submission and keep me in servitude. And I was awakening, and I was calling my power back. And that was scaring some of the people around me, because they wanted to keep their hooks in me and control me and manipulate me and siphon from me. And I wasn't going to let it happen anymore. So they went to war with me. And this is one of the things that can be scary for an empath feeling called into their power. Like Hayden, I feel she was being called to come into her power, to speak publicly. She had a platform where she could speak on these things. And I feel like there were energies that went towards her to silence her, because they didn't want her speaking on the things that were of truth. They didn't want her to help others heal or to illuminate a dark system that is happening in Hollywood. They didn't want that light coming in. And I'm telling you, the light will never be stopped. It will always keep coming. It is here. You can't get rid of it any more than you can get rid of the sun. But when I think back to that time and how many times over the last, several years, it's 2026 now, that was 2012. And when I think of all the different energies that came against me, I remember going to a crystal shop in Hazeldale, and I just walked in and I could tell I was observing this guy that owned the shop, and he was manipulating people, and he was using it because he owns a crystal rock shop, so his whole agenda is to sell you rocks and crystals. And I saw right through him, and that he had a very misaligned energy and was manipulating people and kind of using their pain and their fear to make sales. And I just saw it. It's like it was clear as can be. I saw right through him. The next thing I know, I have clients telling me that they went to get crystals at that shop, and that the guy that owned the shop was trying to get them to be afraid of working with me, because he was trying to get them to go see the healers that were at his shop, the psychics. And when they said, "Oh, I already work with this spiritual healer, and she's amazing," and he's like, "Oh, what's her name?" And they told him, "Oh, it's Tawnya Love." And then he blatantly lied to them and said that I did black magic, and they should be really careful, and they should be very I don't know how he said it, like discerning or careful with working with me. And they knew me enough to know that that wasn't accurate. And they came and told me, and I told them, you should really be mindful then of going to a place and supporting a person that is doing that to light workers and healers. And I never had any beef with the guy. I just saw through him. And the next thing, he's coming at me trying to bring war and turn my clients against me. And who knows how many people he maybe really did turn against me. And karma will definitely come and take care of that. But I think of that. And then there was, when I was first coming out as a healer, I had several different people, because that back then I had a show called the Tawnya Love Show. And if you look deep in my YouTube channel, you'll see I have lots of videos that I was sharing for a few years, until I was made to see that even the guy that was helping me with that show was starting to reveal a lot of misogyny and misaligned energy. And I was just like, I don't feel this is a match for me anymore. And so I left the show and just canceled it, and then just focused on healing one-on-one. And now, as you can tell, I'm back and doing my own podcast. But there was just so many weird things. Like in the Portland community, there was a couple different healers that had invited me to events, and I went and just sat in the audience. I was just observing. And I remember one of the women in particular, before I went, all I said to Source God was, "Source God, show me what you have me here to see. And thank you for revealing her true nature, so that I can know if I can trust this person." And trust me, I've had plenty of reasons to ask these questions. And that's all I did, is ask for her true intention to be shown, her true intentions to be shown. And I'm sitting there, and she starts acting really strange. And she's very much like verbally lashing out at the people in the room. And they were all people that were lured there under the understanding that it was a workshop to help earth angels. And I saw through the intention and the agenda that this person wanted fame and status and wanted them to all look up to her, but she was not really there to empower them. She was not really there. And she was straight up in like using words that were degrading them and insulting them and triggering ego. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I remember just gracefully getting up at the end of the workshop and saying thank you. And then I left, didn't say anything. Later, she sent me a bunch of emails, and she was lashing out, saying that she was accusing me and saying, what did you do to me? Like, what were you doing to me? And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I wasn't doing anything to you. But what I realized is she could sense something in the power of my energy being there was glitching her agenda. Her masks were falling. And I remember way back then just being confused by it. Like, what the hell? Like, how is someone else acting weird how are they going to turn that into my fault? Like, how do they think this is something they can blame me for? But now that I've been through a lot, I really can see it more clearly and understand that my frequency was simply calling forth the truth and the clarity of her intention to be shown. And it was. She showed me, and she showed everyone in that room. And it's up to them what they want to believe in, or if they want to just keep letting someone degrade them and try to manipulate and control them. Because there's so many people that sadly, they have not taken their power back. They have not given themselves permission to really see things for what they are and then walk away. Like Maya Angelou says, when people tell you who they are, believe them. When people show you who they are, I can't speak. When people show you who they are, believe them. And I've had so many encounters. I remember there was another woman in Portland who was in I feel like it was some weird sexual cult thing, but it was being under the guise of the Kabbalah and like she was talking about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge and all these different things. And I only went to one workshop because I was invited. And again, this is when I was doing my show. And I think there was people wanting me to, what I got the impression of is both the women I'm mentioning wanted to be on my show and wanted me to talk about them and kind of get them more publicity. But when I went there, she was showing me really weird shit in her circle, and she was taking couples and separating them and having them sit with different people and then having people eye gaze. And she was talking about sexual things that I was just like, what the fuck is this? This is weird. It's like she's trying to manipulate these people in a weird sexual way. And I just got up and left at the end again and just said thank you. And then I left. And later she came at me in my instant messenger and was making threats to me and asking me who did I think I was. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Who do I think I am? Like, who the fuck are you to come talk to me like this? And I remember it being scary to me because I was freshly coming into the public realm as a healer. And it was so weird to me how many people were trying to sabotage it, how many people were trying to take me down before I barely got a chance to even offer my services to the world. And back then, it overwhelmed me and scared me. Today, I can look back and see it for what it is, that those people sensed I had a true power and a true mission, and that I could also see through their falsehood, their fakeness, their manipulations, and they found it as a threat. And I remember that woman in particular having elders from this cult reach out to me, and they were sending me messages in Messenger, and they were like telling me I had to come meet with the elders. And I was like, fuck you. I was like, I don't even know you people. Like, I do not have to come and talk to you. Like, it was like really weird, like churchy vibe. Like if you were in a religious organization and they're like telling you have to go speak to the head, whatever. And I was just like, I didn't even belong to their group. I went to one gathering because I was invited, and I went to check it out, and I saw what I needed to see, and I left. And it was so weird. And then the next thing I hear, I had a couple clients at the time tell me that on Facebook, because I blocked her and I blocked all the weird little flying monkeys that were coming at me, trying to scare me. I just blocked them all because I was like, fuck you. I don't know you people, and I don't conform to any of your shit. I don't belong to your cult. And the next thing I hear is that this group of people were on Facebook publicly warning people to not come to work with me because I practice black magic. It was crazy how much of this was happening. And the bizarreness of it all is that I've never done black magic. I'm way too aware. There's no way in hell I would do shit like that, because I understand at a spiritual depth within my soul that if you fuck with people's free will, you really will pay for it karmically. I understand it. This is why I don't do it. And what's so crazy, and as I'm now talking on my podcast and explaining to humanity and to anyone who wants to hear, to actually help them, and to, my whole thing is to help people, to empower them, to help them take their power back, and to help them walk with their eyes open and to use discernment. That's my whole thing. And I'm not even on here because I need a bunch of fame or recognition. That is not it. It's to help humanity. That's why I'm on here. And so these people coming at me and attacking me and turning, I'm sure there was people that might have come and talked to me that didn't. I just have a knowing of it because they saw that, and then it gave them fear. And then sadly, if you're not a very aware being, people just making up a rumor, it's all it takes. And then people grab the hold of that and then believe it. And they don't even know you. They've never met you, but suddenly they're afraid of you. Suddenly they're judging you. And this is something we have to wake up from in our society, is that there's so often really good intentioned people that other people that are actually doing bad things will go and project everything they're doing onto an innocent person and try to convince the world that they're evil and that they're doing these bad things. And it's just bizarre to me, because the very things those people were accusing me of is exactly what I feel were doing. I have no proof they were doing black magic in like regards to like spells and shit like that. But as far as black magic is also just lying, it's gossip, it's slander, it's hatred, it's jealousy, it's envy, it's lust. It's, all this low frequency shit is also black magic. When you're wishing someone to fall down, when you're wishing someone's business fails because you think they're a threat to you and you don't even know them, they just walk with authority. They walk in such an authority and a light that it triggers you. That's black magic. And for me, I know that Source God has me here to expose these things and to speak truth on them. And so this is one reason, like if you're walking around and you're trying to be, trying to conform and get a lot of approval in society, you're going to be in trouble. Because if you have a thing in you that thinks you got to get everyone to like you, it's like some fucking politician, and you think, oh, I got to get everyone to like me so I get the votes, so I get the support, whatever. And so you're performing, you're putting on masks, you're pretending, you're being their little bitch puppet in a bigger game than many understand, and you lose yourself. But when you really walk in your authority, and you will not conform, and you will not bow down, and you will not get on your knees for anyone, like Christ consciousness kind of stuff that I'm talking about here, this is searing light. It triggers the fuck out of those in shadow, because their whole thing is to control. Their whole thing is to get power and monetary gain and control. Lust, power, control, greed, corruption. It all goes together. And when you're an authentic sovereign being, none of that matters to you. Not saying that I don't want to have the home I have and to be comforted and supported. I do. And Source God does support me. But that isn't what drives me. It isn't what drives everything I do. I'm not driven by greed and, okay, well, I'll go and mess with this person and sell my soul because then I'll get a paycheck. Fuck that. There's nothing earthly that holds more power and more importance to a truly aligned sovereign soul than Source God alignment. And this is where I'm not religious by any means. I feel the souls, the very beings that killed Christ are the ones that, or Yeshua, are the ones that are capitalizing and have made these religions to tell his story. And I don't trust it at all. But the true source of that soul, or any souls who have walked on earth and really been here to awaken, to shake energies, to awaken them, to illuminate energy, those energies are seen as a threat in this fucking matrix. And so many will try to come against you. And this is just me processing all this out loud. But energetically, if you've had things like this, weird things, instead of thinking something's wrong with you or turning on yourself, just realize there's an important reason you're here. And there are maybe souls that we will all find each other at the divine time, right? I know I have soul family and soul tribe here. And this is what I'm going to get to with this card. There are some of us that have been around the wrong people. We have been capped in captivity and enslaved for many of us, it's been lifetimes. I know for me, it was shown to me that there was lifetimes of this enslavement and this feeling of being held captive in a lower frequency. And we are awakening to take our power back so we can rise to our highest timeline, to our highest frequency, and to live in harmony and peace and co-create with other souls that are of similar frequency. And so some of you, if you're being attacked or you're having people come and bring weird shit to your door, pay attention to the fact that Source God is showing you who they are. Shut those doors and trust that in your time of isolation, you will be refining your spirit. You will be strengthening your own spirit and discernment, and that you will be being prepared in frequency to find souls that are a higher frequency match to you. Souls that want good for you, that are compassionate, loving, nurturing, supportive energies. And if you're used to being around parasitical, manipulative, toxic energies, it's going to feel very different. And this is why you need your time in isolation. This is why we need our time for recalibration so that we can become comfortable in the frequency as we choose this higher frequency. And then we can recognize that not all people are the toxic energy we've been trying to run from. And like with this actress, Hayden, I feel she was surrounded by a lot of parasitical, manipulative energies, and she was a bright light they were siphoning from. And she's no longer there for them to siphon from now, but we don't have to die to escape this. And I feel that's the very reason my soul's here, is to awaken souls to realize we are here to take our power back. We're here to love ourselves. We are worthy of that love and to choose ourselves. And we have to know how to love ourselves before we can ever attract in the right frequencies that will actually love us for who we are. We have to do it first. We have to be the leaders of that. And once we do it and we claim that frequency and we really hold it, and we're not going to let it fall again. We're not going to let narcissists come back in and hit us again, Ike. We're not going to allow it. We'll really see that our frequency will rise. And then we can attract supportive beings. So anyway, felt guided to share that because I think some people look at me, because it's so easy to look at someone and just think, oh, they've just got it, everything given to them. And fuck no, I haven't had anything just given to me in the past. I'm telling you, I've had to work so hard. And not only not given to me, I've had so much taken from me. I've had so many people come to manipulate me, to trip me so I'd fall, to sabotage my businesses, to sabotage what I'm here doing. And that tells me it must be really fucking important what I'm here doing, because why else would so many come and try to take me out? You know what I'm saying? And so I feel part of the message here is for all of you to be very discerning of who you're trusting and like how much you're needing to be accepted by these groups. If you're someone moving to a new town and you really want to be accepted, and you go to some spiritual group and they're asking questions about, oh, why are you here? And you're like, oh, I just want community and and I want to feel accepted. Be careful, because some of them are like, oh, perfect. Now we know what their vulnerability is. Now we know how to control them. I feel like we've got to really walk in and ask Spirit, like, reveal the energy of this. Help me to see the truth of this situation. Is this person have good intentions for me? Is this environment a healthy, supportive environment for me? And if you ask for it to be revealed, it will. And then you have to make the conscious decisions to, really listen to the guidance you've been given. I'm going to pause on this note, and I'm going to make this into 2 episodes, at least 2, because we're at 44 minutes. So I'm going to pause here, and I will come back with a part 2. Namaste.